Here is the illustration of the ascension process of our generation. You can see that this is a spiral shape. It's because one of the oldest geometric shapes found throughout the ancient world are spirals. The spiral is fundamental to nature, appearing on animals such as the snail, seashells, and occur in natural phenomena such as whirlpools, hurricanes, tornadoes, and spinning galaxies. The spiral has become a powerful symbol for creation and growth, used by many ancient cultures and religious traditions. So with that said, spirals are patterns that occur naturally in plants and natural systems, including the weather. In terms of spirituality, the spiral symbol can represent the path leading from outer consciousness, materialism, external awareness, ego-aware perception, to the inner soul, enlightenment, unseen essence, nirvana, cosmic awareness. Movements between the inner, intuitive, intangible world and the outer matter, manifested world are mapped by the spiraling of archetypal rings, marking the evolution of mankind on both an individual and collective scale. Moreover, in terms of rebirth and growth, the spiral symbol can represent the consciousness of nature beginning from the core or center and thus expanding outwardly. This is the way of all things as recognized by most mystics. The single spiral is fairly common and may represent growth, birth, or an expansion of consciousness. It gets worse before it gets better. We are in the middle of this spiral, which is the widest part of the spiral, and you can see that before the environment was flourishing, and then right now it's decaying. If you watched my part 1 of the video, I said that in 2012 there was supposed to be a natural disaster, but the idiots changed the major event in 2012, so the whole world transitioned into a alternate timeline, and so which means we prevented such disaster. But instead of this disaster, the consequence was the energy of God dispersed to the world and help us to expand in our spiritual force, open up our mind to achieve more knowledge and see the reality and remove the veil so that we know what is going on and gain wisdom through Him. This is the process of ascension, expansion to the next level. So right now, most of the people, they are three-dimension beings, which is the vibration is at the third level. And then a lot of people right now, most likely from 2012 or a little bit before, they've been in training, trials, and tests by God. So they have been in the transition from third dimension to fourth dimension, and I'm sure some people from fifth dimension to the upper level, like sixth or seventh dimension. So we are walking on a path ascend to the next level. Economists pay Americans $1,000 each to take a coronavirus vaccine. Thank you, Rabbi Law 31R1. She provided this information. One of their goals is to destroy the environment by using geoengineering technology. So according to a former naval officer and UCLA graduate, millions of tons of aluminum and barium are being sprayed almost daily across the US. Just sprinkle aluminum or barium dust on a fire and see what happens. It's near explosive. When wildfires break out, The aluminum barium dust results in levels of fire intensity so great as to cause firefighters to coin a new term, fire nados. The entire U.S., in addition to various other NATO countries, are being sprayed. According to Cal Fire Operation Chief Steve Calvert, the fires are burning differently and more aggressively. It has been reported the fires move faster than anyone has ever seen, and barriers that in years past contained them, such as rivers, no longer do. In California's Mount Shasta region, Francis Mango, a USDA biologist, tested and found elevated levels of aluminum in water and soil samples of 4,610 parts per million, which is 25,000 times the safe guidelines of the World Health Organization. Northwest is the epicenter of both spraying and awareness of spraying. Aluminum and barium in soil have dramatically increased way past acceptable levels, and folks are catching on. There are whistleblowers, experts obviously polluted skies, samples, sick people, dying plants, raging fires, and very concerned citizens pleading to be heard all over the internet. Meanwhile, Alzheimer's disease, which is linked to an accumulation of aluminum in the brain, also has increased dramatically with no officially recognized cause. Contact can irritate and burn the skin and eyes. Inhaling barium can irritate the nose, throat, and lungs, causing coughing, wheezing, or shortness of breath. Very high exposure can cause barium poisoning with symptoms of nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, irregular heartbeat, muscle weakness, tremors, paralysis, and even death. Barium is a flammable solid that may ignite spontaneously in air or on contact with water. Use dry chemicals appropriate for extinguishing metal fires. Do not use water, CO2, or foam. Poisonous gases are produced in fire. Containers may explode in fire. Barium reacts violently with water and moist air to generate flammable and explosive hydrogen gas. Mixtures of finely divided barium and halogenated hydrocarbons are explosive. Barium is not compatible with oxidizing agents, strong acids, strong bases, ammonia, and oxygen. Store in tightly closed containers in a cool, well-ventilated area away from air, heat, and light. Sources of ignition, such as smoking and open flames, are prohibited where barium is used, handled, or stored. Use explosion-proof electrical equipment and fittings wherever barium is used, handled, manufactured, or stored. Store under inert gas, oil, or oxygen-free liquid. Aluminum nitrate can cause skin irritation. Contact can severely irritate and burn the eyes. Inhaling aluminum nitrate can irritate the nose, throat, and lungs, causing coughing, wheezing, and/or shortness of breath. Aluminum nitrate is not combustible, but it is a strong oxidizer that enhances the combustion of other substances. Use water only. Do not use chemical or CO2 extinguishing agents. Poisonous gases are produced in fire, including aluminum oxide and nitrogen oxides. Use water spray to keep fire-exposed containers cool. Aluminum nitrate may ignite combustibles, wood, paper, and oil. Aluminum nitrate dissolves in water to form nitric acid. Aluminum nitrate is not compatible with combustible materials, strong bases, strong acids, metals, metal salts, iodides, thiocyanates, organic materials, and halogenated hydrocarbons, stored in tightly closed containers in a cool, well-ventilated area away from combustibles, water, and moisture. Aluminum nitrate corrodes metals in the presence of moisture. Mind control by cell phone. Electromagnetic signals from cell phones can change your brainwaves and behavior. Hospitals and airplanes ban the use of cell phones because their electromagnetic transmissions can interfere with sensitive electrical devices. Could the brain also fall into that category? Of course. All our thoughts, sensations, and actions arise from bioelectricity generated by neurons and transmitted through complex neural circuits inside our skull. Electrical signals between neurons generate electric fields that radiate out of brain tissue as electrical waves that can be picked up by electrodes touching a person's scalp. Measurements of such brainwaves in EEGs provide powerful insight into brain function and a valuable diagnostic tool for doctors. Indeed, so fundamental are brainwaves to the internal workings of the mind. They have become the ultimate legal definition drawing the line between life and death. Brainwaves change with a healthy person's conscious and unconscious mental activity and state of arousal. But scientists can do more with brainwaves than just listening on the brain at work. They can selectively control brain function by transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS. This technique uses powerful pulses of electromagnetic radiation beamed into a person's brain to jam or excite particular brain circuits. Although a cell phone is much less powerful than TMS, the question still remains, could the electrical signals coming from a phone affect certain brainwaves operating in resonance with cell phone transmission frequencies? After all, the collar cerebral cortex is just centimeters away from radiation broadcast from the phone's antenna. Two studies provide some revealing news. The first tested whether cell phone transmissions could alter a person's brainwaves. The data showed that when the cell phone was transmitting, the power of a characteristic brainwave pattern called alpha waves in the person's brain was boosted significantly. The increased alpha wave activity was greatest in brain tissue directly beneath to the cell phone, strengthening the case that the phone was responsible for the observed effect. Alpha waves increase in power when a person shifts his or her consciousness of the external world to internal thoughts. They also are the key brainwave signatures of sleep. Cell phone insomnia. If cell phone signals boost a person's alpha waves, does this nudge them subliminally into an altered state of consciousness or have any effect at all on the workings of their mind that can be observed in a person's behavior? The second study tested this question. The result was surprising. Not only could the cell phone signals alter a person's behavior during the call, the effects of the disrupted brainwave patterns continued long after the phone was switched off. The experiment revealed that after the phone was switched to talk mode, a different brainwave pattern called delta waves in the range of 1 to 4 Hz remained dampened for nearly 1 hour after the phone was shut off. These brainwaves are the most reliable and sensitive marker of stage 2 sleep. Approximately 50% of total sleep consists of this stage, and the subjects remained awake twice as long after the phone transmitting in talk mode was shut off. Although the test subjects had been sleep deprived the night before, they could not fall asleep for nearly 1 hour after the phone had been operating without their knowledge. Cell phones in talk mode seem to be particularly well tuned to frequencies that affect brainwave activity. The results show sensitivity to low-level radiation to a subtle degree. These findings open the door by a crack for more research to follow. One only wonders if, with different doses, durations, or other devices, would there be greater effects?